How's it going, everyone? So today we're going to be doing another let's talk on movies. So today we're going to be talking about Underwater. So this one is one of those weird ones where they had it done for a really I think it was a few months at least, but they took their time releasing it. And if you talk to some people that are really big into horror movies and things like that, apparently their early year release of between February or January and I think it was between January and April or March or whatever. Somewhere in that time frame is when usually for the year the bad horror movies come out. And so I think that may have been a stereotype for this movie that doesn't really apply. So I thought this movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. I had already into a preconceived notion that it wasn't going to be that great because I even though she's probably been in better things, I still stereotype or stereocast or whatever the phrasing is for it. Kristen Stewart with not being that great because she was in the Twilight movies, and I think the Twilight movies were okay and just really just meh, really. So I had already had some preconceived notions about it going into the movie, and just like with The Invisible Man, I had already watched a found flicks on this movie, but it sounded so interesting. I really wanted to see it for myself. I actually just ended up renting it on Vudu. Vudu's pretty dope. If you rent regular movies, it's $3 or $4, and they're all they're all the same definition for most of them. So I was able to rent it in upper 4K or HD or whatever. So I was able to watch it in really good quality for really cheap. So I highly recommend if you don't have Vudu. Vudu is a pretty good tool if you don't want to go out and use Redbox or things like that. So enough on the pitch. So the movie itself is really good. Dad said it was a little slow, but I thought it had a pretty good pace to it and a pretty good burn to a really satisfying payoff. That's something with The Invisible Man I really didn't feel like I got. I didn't feel like all the buildup was worth the climax. I thought it was not so much I didn't anticipate what was going to happen at the end of Invisible Man, but it was just kind of okay, that happened, now what's next? Because they didn't really, I don't know, in my eyes, or the way I saw it or whatever, they didn't really set up anything else. So I think that's all I want to say as far as non-spoilers go. So now we'll jump into spoilers / in-depthness, I guess. I mean, we'll talk about the movie some more. So again, I really liked it. Kristen Stewart did a fantastic job. I think better of her as an actress now. Other than the Twilight thing, I don't think I've ever really seen her in a movie before. She was in Zathura, which is the space Jumanji, but she didn't play a huge role or anything, so it's not like she was on screen for that long. So I thought she did a fantastic job. The cast overall was really good. I really liked everybody, except for, I think his name is TJ Miller. I thought he was a really odd fit for the movie. His style of comedy and the way that he can portray jokes or say jokes and things like that. I thought he was a really odd fit for the movie. I felt out of all the casting, he was the one that didn't really need to be there or just didn't make a lot of sense in why he was there. So yeah, he was the only one. I thought the creatures, they all were pretty freaky looking. Especially they're looking for survivors from the escape pods, and they find a body, and then they a little slug thing jumps out and tries to kill them, and they shoot it and bring it back onto their ship with them. And it's just so weird looking, and it looks absolutely nothing like the bigger creatures they will terrorize them later on in the story. Just overall, the movie is about this really intense and super expensive drilling operation at the bottom of Marianas Trench, which is the deepest place on Earth. So the beginning of the movie starts off really fast too. So it's just her doing with flashbacks or something like that, and then all of a sudden everything just goes nuts, and she's got to make it out before everything collapses. Because I don't know how pressure and all that kind of stuff works, but if they wouldn't have sealed off that part of where they were, they would have crushed the entire facility and just blew it all up. So they had to book it out of there, and they had to shut the door on a few people because they weren't going to make it in time. So right away they're establishing stuff like grief and regret and just the responsibility for other people's lives. They're really driving this stuff home, and I really like how they do it. And so the crew starts off with, I think, 7 people who are in that shuttle, and they try to make it to another one because all the escape pods were used. So they have to walk across the ocean floor at the bottom, like the deepest part of the Earth. They have to walk across the ocean floor to another facility, and hopefully those escape pods work and send them out. By the time they actually get to that spot, there's only 3 of them left, and only 2 of the pods are working. So Kristen Stewart ends up sacrificing herself to send the other 2, who are like a couple. He's sending them to the surface, and she stays behind, and we see the big Cthulhu monster, because basically that's what it looks like. I think an interview with somebody that worked on the movie Cthulhu, one of the H.P. Lovecraft's creatures, was an inspiration for this creature that they use in the movie. So it's very Cthulhu looking, and his arms are gigantic, his limbs are huge, and he's got like little Cthulhu monsters that live like on him or sit on him, I guess. I don't know. They're not attached to him, but like they're definitely like, you know, attached without being attached, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like they sit on him and stuff like that. It's kind of weird. But so like she ends up blowing up the plant they're in to like stop Cthulhu from escaping, because at that point he's sending all of his little minions to go and capture the pods that are escaping, and he's trying to crawl out of this pit because it's pretty much implied that by drilling further than they were supposed to, they awoke Cthulhu, and Cthulhu's the one that started like rampaging on all these plants and stuff by sending out his little creature dudes. So I thought that the ending was really cool. We get to see. I wish they would have shown more clear images or shots of the Cthulhu creature. But what we do see is pretty cool. Like he's pretty gigantic, and he's just big hulking dude, and it's pretty scary. Like if I was there, I'd have gave up. I wouldn't have walked out onto the ocean floor. I'd have been like, nah, I'm good. Too many scariness out there. But yeah, I thought this movie was really good. I thought the payoff at the end was really awesome, and the build up to it, like the shots of the creatures, like they don't directly show them a lot. It's kind of like you're getting stalked and you don't know what by, and you don't know how it's going to kill you, and it's pretty cool. I really like that aspect of it. And yeah, like I said, I overall really enjoyed it. I thought Kristen Stewart did a fantastic job. Again, I can't like say enough about. Like I really liked her in this movie. The rest of the cast was great. T.J. Miller didn't stick around too much, so my small problems with his character didn't last that long. But yeah, overall, really liked it. I would recommend it to anybody, especially if you can rent it cheap for like $3-4 or whatever. I really enjoyed it. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I think next, I just finished watching the X-Men Evolution cartoon as well, so that's what the next video is going to be about. And then from there, I'll see what else I've promised, because I kind of forgot. And then we'll go from there. So that's going to wrap it up, and we'll see you next time.